Hello all, I hope you're all doing well. Apologies for last week for not being available. I was a little under the weather, but we are continuing with our weekly portion review, and this week we are in the portion of Jethro, Yitro, which is a very fundamental and important portion, which really focuses on Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, his organizational council to Moses, really how to create a system of hierarchy with regards to dealing with the Israelites, and of course, famously, the revelation of Hashem at Mount Sinai to the people of Israel as well, where we receive the Torah, the Ten Commandments. And we've spoken about over the years about why the focus on Jethro himself, right, seemingly a Gentile, and the whole universal message. We've also spoken about why is it Moses who is bringing the Torah, right, with regards to his own unique of blending the ideas of both of Balaam and Job and Jethro. Feel free to look back in the description for what we discussed in the earlier years, in the past years. Sorry, but today the focus is really going to be on what's interesting is that Chazal, our rabbis, really tell us that the Torah wasn't only given at Sinai, but it was actually imposed on Sinai as well. Now, the Talmud famously teaches that God held Mount Sinai over the Jewish people like a barrel, and he said that if you accept the Torah, good, and if not, this will be your burial place. Quite intense. And this, of course, raises profound questions, right? If the Torah is given through coercion, is it truly accepted by the people, right? And we already encountered this problem earlier in the Torah with the story of the manna, right? When something is forced upon a person, even if it's objectively good, seemingly the natural human reaction is resistance, right? He told them not to collect on a certain day, yet they didn't listen. And even when one knows something is beneficial, force really triggers this reaction. Now, in Hebrew, the word kfiyah, coercion, itself really hints at this. The letters could also form the word hafach, which means reversal, right? What is forced is often turned upside down in the heart of the one who's receiving it. Now, in this sense, the coercion at Sinai really created a deep tension inside the Israelite, right? On the one hand, the Torah is the ultimate good. On the other hand, its forced acceptance really damaged the very foundation of free choice. And indeed, our sages tell us that only generations later, the way they phrase it is, they re-accepted it in the days of Achashverosh, right? During the times of Esther, did the Israelites actually, the Jewish people finally chose the Torah willingly. Now, this tension is also addressed directly famously by the prophet Jeremiah, right? And he speaks of a future covenant that will fundamentally be different from the one that we made on Sinai in this portion, right? And he says that days are coming, and when he will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah. And this is not going to be like the covenant that he made with their ancestors, right? The day he took them by the hand when he brought them out of Egypt, right? And a covenant that they ultimately broke, and I was a master to them, right? This is what he says, and this is in Jeremiah 31, right? The Sinai covenant, which Jeremiah is explaining over here, was actually forged with like a strong hand, and its very strength carried within it seeds of really rupture. And yet, despite Israel's failures, God didn't abandon them. Right, he says, I was a master to them, which is really, he is declaring or asserting his enduring bond with the people of Israel. But the prophet still promises something radically new, right? That this covenant that he's going to make with the house of Israel after those days, that he's going to place the Torah within them, and upon their hearts, he's going to write it as well, right? It's no longer taking them by the hand, right? He has to pull them. Rather, it's not going to be from the outside of the nation. That's an imposed system. It will become an internal part of their very being, right? A flesh of their flesh. Basar me besaram, how it's usually said in Hebrew. But Jeremiah even goes further, right? If the Torah still has to be taught externally, if one Jew still has to compel another Jew to learn, then the traces of coercion are still there. And he adds that no longer will we teach one another, right, the knowledge of God, Rather, we'll all know it from the smallest to the greatest. The ultimate vision is a Judaism that's actually chosen. It's discovered. It's affirmed from within. And famously, Rav Kook explains that this vision really sheds a light on a very puzzling phenomenon in modern Jewish history, which is the emergence of the secular Jewish identity. And for the first time, a Jew could actually exist fully as a Jew without external religious compulsion, right? And the Jewish identity is no longer dependent on an enforced tradition. Now, paradoxically, this really creates the first real possibility of true choice. Only now can a Jew say yes to the Torah in really complete freedom. And this is, to stress this. This is not a rejection of the Torah, right? It's actually a necessary, a precondition for this deep acceptance, right? At last, we could really reach a stage where God trusts us, right? He trusts us that we can choose His Torah, not because we have to, but because we understand and we desire and we affirm it with actually all our freedom. And in the aftermath of the war in Israel, really the society here finds itself in a very deep and spiritual motion. And old frameworks really have cracked, and automatic identities they no longer really suffice. And many are asking these fundamental questions, not because they are told to, but because reality is demanding it from them. We see soldiers praying who never prayed before, or secular Israelis searching for, meaning beyond just slogans. And I would even say even the religious Jews are really forced to re-examine what faith means when history becomes unbearable. And this is a very painful moment, but it's also a sacred moment. And perhaps this is precisely the stage Jeremiah envisioned, right? Which a generation that no longer held beneath the mountain, but standing beneath really an open sky. And a generation that has to decide, not under threat and not out of habit, but through clarity and through a real understanding of depth and really a conscious choice. If we succeed, then the Torah will no longer feel imposed upon the Israeli life. It will actually rise from within it. And that choice, if made freely, may actually bring a covenant that we've been waiting for. I'm wishing us all a Shabbat Shalom, one of clarity, one of bravery as well. Shabbat Shalom.